Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home for all your expert betting tips and analysis, not only for boxing but for a number of sports such as football, horse racing, basketball. So if you're a big sports fan and like a bet, please check out sharpbetting.co.uk in the description below. Delighted today to be joined by one of the UK's top welterweights, Michael "The Problem" McKinson. Yeah, we're going to be discussing kind of his state of play at the minute and what the future might hold. So, yeah, Michael, delighted to have you on. First of all, thanks for giving up your time to talk to us. First of all, I hope you're well, obviously. And yeah, I was just curious to really curious to speak to you in terms of we normally talk to fighters who kind of have a fight coming up, but
Mm.
if anybody's seen your social media activity of late, you've vented your frustrations at kind of the situation you're in about not being able to secure a fight, not having a fight date. Could you just talk a little bit about that in terms of how frustrating that is for being such a top fighter like you are, and why do you think that is? Why do you think you can't kind of get an opponent nailed down, or why nobody seems to want to fight you?
It seems like the boxing world in the UK was waiting for me to lose. Once I lost, they want to kick you out. Like that's how it seems. Like obviously on my social media, so I've shown my frustration. Uh, it's a difficult time in my career at the moment because I can't get fights at all. The phone's not ringing. Um, I boxed. My last meaningful fight was 5 or 6 months ago now, um, which I lost for the IBO title against Tulani and Bengay. I had a really great camp. I was out in New York, then I was over here for a little bit, and then I went to Philadelphia. I was training with Boots Ennis in his gym, sparring him alongside all great fighters. And I flew home 10 days before the fight with the flu, and I had a decision to make. And all that was going through my head is I've not had an income all year because the fight kept getting moved back. As long as I can get rid of the cold and start to breathe again and make weight, fine, I'll be okay. Fight week, I kind of shifted the cold. Didn't know how I would be in the fight, and to be fair, I didn't really know how I felt until after the first round. Had a good first round, came back at the end of the first round, and yeah, I felt awful for the last 11 rounds. I didn't have anything in my body. I felt zapped. I had zero energy. I just boxed all night on a big heart and a good chin. And to go in at world level, I've learned that you have got to be 100%. So that was a tough one to take because I think 9 times out of 10 I could have beat Mbenge. Um, but yeah, tough one to take. But even since like I lost that fight, I've had nothing since. I've been one of the UK's top welterweights for many years now. Um, Many years. Uh, I'm probably, other than Josh Taylor, I'm probably my record's probably the most like colourful record there. Like in terms of the level I fought at, in terms of how many like international titles I've won. But yet no one's talking about me. So yeah, I don't really know what's next. We have no promoter, no help. I'm probably the best fighter in the UK without help and without a promoter, if I'm honest. But yeah, tough times.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point you make there, which is what I was kind of thinking myself, and that you're kind of you're a tricky opponent for anybody anyway with your kind of
Mm.
style, that kind of slick southpaw style. But I did think the same in that people are almost using that Mbenge loss as a further excuse to kind of not fight you. They were just, as you say, they were waiting on that reason to say, okay, who needs him now? Definitely coming off a loss anyway, you know. So I do agree with that. Yeah, tough situation to be in. You say like the phone hasn't been ringing. Like, could you give us maybe a bit of an insight into your last, say, few months since the Mbenge fight?
Yeah.
Has it been total radio silence, or has there been
No.
people putting roadblocks in the way of you getting back in the ring, or what's it been like for you these last few months?
We had one phone call. It was on 2 weeks' notice at £154 to fight an African guy with 18 wins, 17 KOs. He fought on the he fought on the Callum Simpson undercard boxer card, and he won in the first round knockout. But yeah, I got a call to be the opposition that night. But it was after like Christmas and New Year. Like although I'm a 147 fighter, I wasn't fit at the time, and even to make 154 on 2 weeks' notice is ludicrous. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we had to turn that one down. But other than that, it has been silent. And like I've screamed on social media about like like I'll fight anybody in the world. I will. But yeah, like I feel like I need a little bit more than 2 weeks. Listen, I'd fight at 154 if it was right and if they gave me time to prepare and things like that. I've obviously spent my whole career at 147. I plan on staying at 147, but it's where the opportunity comes, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, good point. You know, you say there you'll fight anybody, especially at kind of this stage. You know, you're just desperate to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
Is there any particular names that you kind of eye as a potential fight? Because in my opinion, there's obviously a big domestic welterweight matchup coming up between Josh Taylor and Echo
Mm,
Esman
mm.
coming up soon. That seems like almost a perfect kind of opponent, the winner of that for you to fight. Would there be any other names kind of in the stratosphere that you'd be interested in fighting?
I feel like that would be a great to get the winner if that would be unbelievable. But from what Josh has achieved, like I think he beats Echo as like a first fight at 147, but I'm sure he'll be looking at a world title straight after to be a two-weight world champion. Do you know what I mean? But I would love that if I got the call 100%. If one of them gets injured, I'd love that as well. Do you know what I mean? But I've sparred Josh in the past, and Echo's always been a name that's kind of floated about. So yeah. But listen, anyone that's worth it in the world, like I've competed at world level. My two losses have come at world level. Um, but yeah, listen, beggars can't be choosers. I'm here. I will take on any opposition as long as like they give me a little time to prepare. Um, I won't say no to anybody.
Yeah, as you say, it could be a really good fight with either of those guys. Even if Taylor was to beat Echo, I think you and Echo Esserman would be a really interesting fight in its own right. So
How I see it, Echo found his level. He won the British title. I think he won it outright. Lost it. Had a couple of good comeback fights, but very like close fight up until like the stoppages. Like very close fights off like against people that he should be kind of beating with these. But you got to think Echo's what 36. So I'm happy that he's got a big fight with Josh Taylor. Um, because I feel like he did find his level at British level, and he's been about a while now, Echo. So I'm happy he's got that big fight.
yeah, agreed. He's definitely paid his dues and deserves
Yeah.
that big night. Yeah, just to kind of to wrap up, you know, you said there that you've sparred Josh Taylor. Another interesting kind of spar that you've had recently, which I've been dying to kind of talk to you about. You were over in Philly sparring Duran Ennis. Of course, as a big unification fight coming up with
Sure.
Stanionis. What was that experience like? You know, sharing a ring with such a phenomenal talent, and what do you learn from spars like that? What was that like?
You hear stories about how hard it is to spar Boots, and he knocks this guy out, he knocks this like. So we traveled with knowing these stories and stuff, and you go into obviously Bozy, his father. You go into the gym. They do 4 minute rounds, like I think 25, 30 second rest, something like that. It's pretty brutal in there. Very nice guy until the bell goes, and it's like you fight for your life in that gym. You have to earn respect. It's a very tough, hostile environment, and I was there for a good few weeks. I sparred Boots a few times. I sparred Julian J. Rock Williams. I sparred a few different, but even the days I didn't spar, I was training alongside like Stephen Fulton, like world class fighters. So it only benefited me. In terms of the sparring with Boots himself, I would say he was very big. Like I was a few weeks out from my fight, but he's very big. Um, and they were the hardest round sparring I've ever had.
Wow, it must have been an incredible,
But but what was the good thing is by the end of my trip, I earned respect with everybody in the gym, uh, even like Boots himself, Bozy, and people like that. And I guess not many people can get through a few weeks being there and have the respect that I gained. So there was a lot to come back for. That's why when I travelled home 10 days before the fight, although I caught the flu, so like the last full day I was there, I started to get on well. Um, I was very happy with how I prepared. Not many people can go over and mix it with the likes of Boots Ennis. Um, so yeah, I was very happy, and that's why I still decided to fight. Looking back on it, I definitely shouldn't have fought. But then, when would I have got an IBO opportunity again? When would the next paycheck be? So it was a difficult one.
Yeah, and it just shows you like the level of talent that you are, that you did get the respect of fighters like that, and you
Listen,
still can't get a fight. It's crazy.
I am the best welterweight the UK has, and that's even if you want to put Josh Taylor in the question. I believe I'm like better at this stage of their career, 100%. I've sparred Josh, but like a few times, and I did very well. Then you've got Conor Ben, not really fought anybody of worth. You've got Harlem Eubank just coming off a good win the other week. But really, I think I'll beat all of them. I really do think I'll beat all of them. It's just about when the opportunity comes, I guess.
Yeah, I think Conor Ben, he's getting these opportunities based on his name value. You can't kind of argue with that. But I think,
So
ability wise, I think you beat Conor Ben. I think you beat Eubank, and I think Josh Taylor, and yourself would be a really interesting fight
I
next.
would like I've learned a lot of Josh Taylor. Like I've been I they paid for me to go when he was out down in Essex with Ben Davison just before the first Catterall fight. They paid for me to stay there for a couple of weeks, and I sparred him a few times. And whenever there was sparring at that gym, there was a lot of people there to watch every time. And sparring, and boxing's obviously boxing. It's a lot different, but I came away from that trip very confident if that was to ever happen. But even the days I wasn't sparring him, it was great to learn from him. Being a southpaw that has achieved so much, like it was good to watch him.
Amazing, amazing. Hopefully it's down the line. Just to wrap up quickly with yourself, I won't keep you too much longer. Just to circle back to Boots Ennis. He's fighting Stanionis now in a big
Yeah,
unification in a few weeks. Could I just get a prediction for that one? What do you
yeah.
think? How do you think that plays
Just
out?
just a quick one. Rewind a couple of years when I fought Ortiz. That was for a final eliminator for Stanionis' WBA belt, and then Ortiz beat me, and then failed to make weight, like got ill, hospitalized, blah blah blah. Whatever happened, they should have given me the opportunity because I fought in the final eliminator. But how do I say it? I think Boot should be a 154 pounder in my eyes. He is very big. I do think he beats Stanionis. Um, see how good I see him training, and he didn't look great against in the rematch against Karen. In my eyes, I don't think he looked great. Uh, but still, I think he's a level above Stanionis, and Stanionis is a very skilled fighter, and he is a great fighter. But Boots is better, and I do think I don't know if he'll knock Stanionis out, but I do see a Boots win.
Yeah, I agree totally. I agree with him being probably a natural 154 pounder as well. He's that big, and yourself
Yeah.
share the ring with him, so you know more than me. But
Yeah, I was quite light. This was kind of a few weeks out from my fight, so I was probably between 154 and 160. He would have been a lot bigger than me.
yeah, yeah, it's a fight I can't wait for anyway. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's all we have time for on this one. Just Michael, the problem McKinson, chatting about his future plans and his struggles of late to secure fights. And what the future may hold. So yeah, thanks Michael for coming on. Really appreciate your time. And yes, as I say, don't forget, please like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all social media. Check out sharpbetting.co.uk in the description below. And yeah, thanks again, Michael.
No worries, thank you.